Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Simon and I'm joined by the lovely Maggie O'Farrell, who I can't quite believe is doing this. Backstage at Waterstones.
I didn't have any choice. No.
I forced her. So we're backstage at Waterstones, we're going to do an event. Excuse that there, that's just a little bit of extra. There's a basket of puppies over there and some blue Smarties, they're just mine. Maggie didn't want anything. But yeah, so we're doing events based around this lovely book. This Must Be the Place, which is Maggie's 7th novel. And what I'm going to do is something new, which is 10 tenuous quick questions about the book.
Okay.
I thought this was right, as you came on my first ever podcast, on my first ever one.
see.
It's nice for you to do my first ever
Why not?
author on here. Torture, guinea pigs, all that sort of thing. But first of all, I wondered if you could tell people a little bit about the book in case these questions don't quite cover
Make
it.
no sense. They're just too tenuous altogether.
Yeah.
Okay. So This Must Be the Place is about an American professor who's living in the wilds of Ireland, and he's married to a reclusive former movie star called Claudette, who defends their privacy very fiercely. And their marriage is pretty happy at the beginning, and then he hears something about an ex-girlfriend which suddenly derails him, and he goes off into his past, and that causes problems in his marriage.
And that's all we're going to tell you about the book. Hopefully this will give you more information in a random way. So, Hollywood star vanished, as we said, Claudette. How would you vanish, and if you vanished, where to?
Well, I think I'd probably go like Claudette does to the wilds of Donegal, because I was there a few years ago, and I mean there are bits of Donegal. I mean, all of Donegal is pretty rural, but there are bits of it which feel almost uninhabited. And I think there's something actually about when I was thinking about where Claudette would go. There's something about the Irish national character, which means I think they would protect her. I think they would have kept her secret a secret, and they would have looked after her.
So, have you vanished? That's where you are. There, we
Yeah.
solved it.
And I've spoiled the whole
I
thing.
can get the reward. That's brilliant. We go to different times and places. What is your favourite decade so far, and what is the place that you've been to that you've loved most that we should all go to?
Oh God, my favourite decade? I don't know, I think right now. Definitely right now. I wouldn't ever wish to go back, because that would be dissolving your present somehow.
What were you
I
now,
think
the
I'd try and
20
live
teens?
I don't even know what you call them, but yes. I think they've all got, every decade or every part of your life has its own joys and its own challenges, but I wouldn't ever choose one over the other, I think.
And what about a place that we should all go?
Place that you should all go. Well, that is tricky. One of the places in the novel which I really love is the Stockholm archipelago. So I love Sweden for lots of different reasons, but just outside this huge capital city, about sort of half an hour away by ferry, are these really remote glacial islands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're incredible, and it's as if when you're there, it's as if you're in the middle of nowhere, but you're only half an hour from a capital city.
That's amazing. Have you been to the Western Islands in Sweden?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
They're amazing. I
Yeah,
went out to those and I was like, oh,
They're similar. There's a
I
similarity.
may get
actually.
murdered. You've got that feeling, haven't you? It's got that murdered feeling. Anyway.
I have quite the opposite, actually, interestingly. I think
Maybe
I'm
that's-
never going to get murdered here. There's no one here.
I was dubious of the seals and everything. We get to see lots of snippets of different people's lives in the book. If you could slip into someone else's life just for a snippet, who would it be and why?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'd probably like to go back in time to try a different historical period. I think that would be quite interesting. Yeah, if I could choose anything, if I had a time machine or a slip, and I'd quite like to go, I think 20s Paris would be quite interesting. Or possibly, I don't know, London in the 17th century, or maybe London in Shakespeare's time. That would be an interesting place to visit, wouldn't it?
Hopefully it lasted. I think I'd imagine there's death and disease everywhere.
I think there is a lot of that, but
A lot
maybe
of dark
with this question you get a kind of vaccination against all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was going to go for a specific person.
Oh, I see. Something that would be tricky actually. I'd more be interested in an era or a time, I suppose.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to give you a
I
tenuous
got the
answer.
author look. Footnotes are in the novel in a really, really lovely way. What's your favourite footnote fact? Has there been anything you've discovered in a footnote and gone, that is genius?
What have I discovered in a footnote? I don't know. My favourite book is the one by Nabokov, whose name now eludes me, which is all written in. It's partially a book and it's partially footnotes.
Oh.
It's a whole novel. It's incredible. But the name of it now has completely eluded me. I have to look it up. And I remember loving that book. It's such a clever way to deconstruct a novel, deconstruct a narrative.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's allowed. You've also got a section that's in an interview transcript.
Yeah.
What's been your worst ever interview and why? Don't say this one. Or I'm just going to
Well,
press
actually,
stop.
I haven't really had. No, actually, I think the interview transcript in the book was more inspired by when I was a journalist. So, and occasionally you used to get quite difficult interviewees. And I was a journalist in the mid-90s where you'd have to have a little tape. There's nothing like this. You see, we had a little, dictaphone with a battery and a tape, and you had to transcribe it going backwards and forwards. And my worst ever interview was with an actor. I can't really say who it was. I do remember asking him, and he was playing a very, very famous writer, and I said to him, how did you prepare for the role? And there was a really long silence, so long that I thought he'd either forgotten or he hadn't heard me. And then he said, I went to a library.
Oh.
And I said, oh, and did you read anything? And he said, no.
Do you know what the worst interviews are? One-word interviews.
Yeah, awful. And I suppose I was thinking about that. It's just, obviously he'd been on the kind of press junket, and I was maybe the 8th or the 9th journalist in the room that day, and I had 20 minutes with him, and he was obviously sick of the sight of people like me. So I was thinking about that when I wrote the interview with TV.
You have to go in for early, I think. By the end of the day,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
jaded.
That's
Terribly
so
good. I'll tell you about somebody I interviewed that at the end of the day was horrible and then was lovely afterwards. The other one of my favourites of the book is written like an auction brochure. If you could get anything from an auction from your favourite person in history, what would it be and why? These are really easy questions.
Really hard to think on the spot. What would I have liked? Well, it's funny, when I was writing that chapter, I went to see an auctioneer, and I was asking him all about the processes, and I was saying to him that I didn't really understand the need or the want, the desire that people had to own things. So he did show me a letter by Charlotte Bronte. So I think I would probably quite like that. It was about £20,000 though.
Did you not just have that rolling in your head?
Not today.
I could have got it for you.
Oh, thanks. Next time.
Next time. You mentioned in an event we did last night that short stories were what you were reading whilst you were writing this, and also there is kind of short storyness to it because we go to all these different points of view and stuff. What one short story collection would you really recommend, and will we ever get a short story collection from you?
From me? No, I don't think so actually. I don't think necessarily. I think if you can write a novel, you can't necessarily write a short story. I think it's a very specific skill, which I don't think I have actually.
I think this book proves that wrong.
Yeah, but you see, the thing about the different sections in this book is that they all interlink, and the characters reappear, and they're all enmeshed. I don't know if I could ever. I think whenever I've been tempted to write a short story, it's actually ended up as a novel. So for some reason, I can't fit my imagination into the form of a short story. I would love to be able to, but I can't. But I do think, I have lots of favourite short story writers. Alice Munro is one of them, and Edith Pullman, Amy Bloom, Helen Simpson, I think is fantastic. Laurie Moore, they're amazing. And one of the first short stories I ever remember reading is The Dead by James Joyce. And that is one of the most perfect works of literature from start to finish. There isn't a word out of place.
Oh, wow. Okay. Look those ones up. The butterfly effect features in the book, but it's kind of what people's butterfly effect on other people is, and how small actions can make big things happen in people's lives, or vice versa. What butterfly effect moment have you had in your life?
In my life? I don't know. I think one of the things that interested me most when I was writing this novel is the idea that you don't always know. That your life can intersect with somebody, and you don't know. When you walk away, when you walk out of life, you have no idea what you leave behind. And that's, I think, what Daniel is grappling with. That his life intersected with Nicola, and he didn't know what happened to her after he walked out, after he exited. So I think the butterfly effect is a bit mysterious. I don't think you could. I think it's really hard to trace. I think it's only the recipient of the effect who knows that.
True. Very true. Have you ever been a recipient? I can't speak.
Well, I think I said this last night. I do remember being on the Trans-Siberian Express a long time ago, when I was 21, and I was travelling across China, and I remember walking down a corridor, and I heard a girl say, well, a woman actually, I should call her, say to some person she was talking to, I didn't see because I was walking towards her, and past her, and as I passed her, she said, I don't know why everybody says they want to be a writer. All you need is paper and a pencil. They should just get on with it. And I remember thinking, it was as if the worlds kind of floated towards me and kind of went into my head if I was a cartoon. And I've never forgotten them.
And look what happened. Ta-da! It's that simple. But ultimately, this must be the place what's your favourite place?
In the whole world? Oh, that's really hard. Really, really hard. I think I have lots of favourite places. A lot of them are in this book. One of my favourite places is just outside Eastdale in Grasmere. It's a valley called Eastdale, just outside Grasmere in the Lake District, where I worked for a summer when I was a student, and that's one of my favourite places.
They do Grasmere gingerbread, which is amazing.
That's also true, yeah.
Grasmere gingerbread is better than any gingerbread in the world.
It is, it's true.
It's very true. And a final question, Nancy Mitford appears, this is where it gets tenuous. Nancy Mitford appears in the book, she's one of my favourite writers. Who are your favourite writers and why?
Well, I do also love Nancy Mitford, and I love Charlotte Bronte and Margaret Atwood and William Boyd and Anne Patchett. I think David Mitchell's fantastic. I love Albert Camus. I could go on and on, actually. I haven't told you any of the lines. Do you want to hear the lines, or is that enough?
That's enough. That gets
enough
people
foods.
enough to go away and find. So, thank you very much, Maggie.
That's
That
my
was
pleasure.
10 quick, tenuous questions. And this is the book, This Must Be the Place, and you must go and read it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm honoured to be the first person.
Oh, I cut you off before the end.
That's all right.
Oh, no, I didn't. We're still going. I can press stop now.
But end it there.
It doesn't want to stop. It doesn't want to stop.
We're going to go on
It's
100
going to go on
tenuous
forever.
questions.
It's going to stop.